Thanks a lot, Chair. I want to raise what I think is a major unaddressed public health failure. It's a local issue, not in my constituency, but in Dunleary. But I think it has quite wide national implications in the context of the climate change we're seeing, and therefore the likelihood of an increased number of gorse fires. Effectively, over a 2-week period or slightly more in August, there were repeated fires in Ticknock Park, affecting thousands and thousands of residents in Cherrywood, and the response by the agencies was completely inadequate, and the result is the residents have had to get themselves organised, have done an incredible amount of research, which I'll be able to read some of to you, and are demanding action. They've been working with our local councillor, Dave O'Keefe. Effectively, it provided me with a document, and I've spoken to them, providing a detailed account of 20 plus interconnected major fire incidents comprising over 135 recorded events and 150 plus firefighting operations within a 2-week period. They repeatedly reignited within hours of being declared disposed, but they were downplayed. The health hazard was downplayed, they were prematurely closed as incidents, and the priority was downgraded. There were no public health warnings issued, no sustained escalation occurred, and residents were left continuously exposed until the weather conditions shifted. Basically what we're being told, I've put in parliamentary questions, and I've got an answer from the Minister and an answer from the HSE. They're kind of saying nothing serious happened here in terms of a health issue. There is a significant issue. This isn't just regular smoke. There's extra particles in the context of the gorse fires, and they did their own. So there is air monitoring stations, but not that they're relying on to say everything was fine. But they're quite a distance from where the fire took place. They're further away from where the homes are, and they did an amount of study themselves based on indoor air quality, so inside people's homes, and the results are very striking. I have it all here, I can send it. But data confirms continuous toxic exposure inside homes for 2 weeks. These toxic levels were recorded inside homes just 10 metres from Cherrywood Primary School. And the school was obviously closed in August, but if it had been open, children would have spent hours directly downwind of the smoke. The PM 2.5 and VOC levels were up to 9 times WHO limits. There was no effective protection or practical health guidance. Instead, there was deference to outdated protocols and these distant air monitoring stations. Children in particular were left unprotected, as well as vulnerable residents. What the residents are asking is quite simple. Formal recognition that gorse wildfire smoke is a direct public health hazard, updated health guidance and fire response protocols that reflect modern science and international best practice, incident-specific monitoring located where fires impact, so you go and you monitor where the fires are actually taking place, access to practical protection. Families were faced with spending hundreds of euros in terms of HEPA filters, masks and so on, prioritising schools and national groups, and a clear national framework ensuring that HSE, EPA, local authorities and fire services act together so no community is ever left unprotected again. I do think there's a quite serious issue here. It's very impressive, the research that the residents have done, which I think proves very clearly that there's a significant issue that is going to reoccur here, and that we need a change of policy in terms of dealing with it, not least to be in line with the EU level obligations.
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
I would like to thank the Deputy for raising this issue, and on behalf of Minister Darragh O'Brien, I'm taking this topical issue this morning. Deputy, the air we breathe is fundamental to our health, our environment and to the overall well-being of our communities. Nationally, from an ambient air quality point of view, the main air pollutants of concern are fine parasite matter for particulate matter from solid fuel combustion and nitrogen dioxide from transport. However, wildfires or localised fire incidents through infrequent can impact on air quality. Under the Air Pollution Act 1987, where it appears to a local authority that urgent measures are necessary to prevent or to limit air pollution affecting any part of their functional area or any adjoining area, local authority may take such steps to carry out such operations or give such assistance as they consider necessary to prevent or to limit such pollution or to remedy the effects of any such pollution. Local authorities are independent in the exercise of their statutory functions under the Air Pollution Act 1987. In addition, the EPA has advised that they work closely with Dún Laoghaire local authority regarding such incidents and can assist through the provision of support and advice on air pollution. In terms of dealing with fires, including gorse fires, the provision of fire services in its functional area, including the establishment and maintenance of a fire brigade, the assessment of fire cover needs and the provision of fire station premises is a statutory function of individual fire authorities under the Fire Services Act 1981 and 2003. The National Directorate for Fire and Emergency Management, NDFEM, supports the fire authorities through setting general policy, providing a central training programme, issuing guidance on operational and other related matters, and providing capital funding for equipment and priority infrastructural projects. The NDFEM developed a policy document called Keeping Communities Safe, which sets out a system of national processes and standards for fire services delivery in Ireland based on the risk management and approach. The Keep Community Safe document is the outcome of a wide-ranging review of fire service activities and is supported by a series of documents on issues such as fire services training and safety management systems for fire services. A further set of documents titled Good Practice Notes, which describe methods for the fire service to deal with a range of solutions aimed to achieve consistent good practice nationally. In terms of monitoring ambient air quality, the National Competent Authority for the Monitoring and Assessment of Ambient Air Quality is the Environmental Protection Agency. The EPA works closely with local authorities to site, install, operate, maintain monitoring stations at locations around the country. Health data is provided to the public in the form of the Air Quality Index for Health, which translates both monitored and modelled air quality to health advice. The European Environment Agency report, Europe's Environment 2025, noted in its Ireland's country profile that Ireland's air quality is among Europe's best. It also noted that Ireland meets current EU air quality standard. Significant progress in improving Ireland's air quality was also noted this year in the annual Clean Air Strategy Progress Report, July 2025, including that Ireland has reduced ammonia emissions on foot of improvements in agricultural practices and reduced sulphur dioxide emissions due to a greater use of renewables in energy generation and increased retrofitting and heat pump installation. However, as acknowledged in Ireland's Clean Air Strategy, there is no safe level of air pollution, and we must continue to ensure that we put the appropriate measures in place to protect our air quality.
Thank you, Minister.
Thanks a lot. Thanks to the Minister for the answer. I mean, the Minister will himself acknowledge, I'm sure, that there's not much there in terms of the actual incidents, the actual petition that the residents have launched and their experience. They have sent, by the way, all of the data to certainly the Minister for Health. Let me give you some of the key findings from the survey that the residents conducted, which I think give a picture of the problem here. That is a problem for the residents in Cherrywood, but can be a problem for people all across the country or anywhere where gorse fires can impact on air quality. So 60 households responded to the survey. 100% of them reported smoke entering indoors despite them keeping their windows shut, with exposure lasting 10 to 14 consecutive days for most of the households. 80% of them reported persistent coughing or a sore throat, 70% headaches or migraines, 65% sleep disruption from nighttime smoke, 40% stress, anxiety about health and safety, 25% nausea, fatigue or eye irritation. And children were affected in at least 60% of households. To quote from some of the personal stories of residents, quote, "Even with windows sealed, my toddler woke up coughing and needed a doctor." Quote, "We spent €400 on a purifier, but our baby still woke coughing. The heat made it unbearable." Quote, "I woke at night thinking the house was on fire. The smoke inside was so strong." Quote, "Our newborn was exposed during her first 3 weeks of life. This is unacceptable in a modern country." And I would go back to the point that the World Health Organization, the US CDC, and the European Environment Agency treat wildfire smoke as a major public health hazard. The EU directive requires Member States to provide representative protective air quality information to the public, and yet here we have an actual incident over a period of 2 weeks in Cherrywood where families are enduring exposure without meaningful monitoring, without warnings or without health advice. I think better needs to be done.
Thank you. Minister.
I would like to thank the Deputy for his input this morning on this important issue. Although ambient air quality in Ireland is recognised as among the best in Europe, there is no safe level of air pollution, and there are policies and legislation in place to ensure that we continue to strive to minimise the impact of air pollution on our citizens and on the environment. Local authorities are independent statutory bodies which are key in tackling gorse fires and air pollution more generally. They are supported by policy and legislation to carry out the necessary actions within their functional areas. Deputy, we need to continue to support our local authorities in their work, both in relation to dealing with localised incidents and also more generally in supporting them to implement relevant measures in the clean air strategy to protect our air quality in Ireland. Finally, I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the local authority and the fire brigade personnel on the ground who are at the cold face of dealing with such fires. And as you're aware, Deputy, a lot of these fires happen all over the country as well, not just in your local area, and it's an issue that does affect the air that we breathe. And I want to compliment the fire brigade, in all fairness, that sometimes they'll be out 24 hours trying to quench these ghost fires. Some of them are started deliberately. Why, I don't know. Some of them are started by nature, but it does have a huge impact, particularly in the air that we breathe, and particularly if it's near a town or a village. The first thing you have to do is try and close all the windows, but the smoke does eventually get in. But look, I will bring to the attention of the Minister, Darragh O'Brien, and also to the Minister for Health, the issue and the petition I think that you said has been submitted to the Department, and make sure that she actually sees it and reads it. And I'll ask her to come back directly to you on this. And thanks for raising the issue.